Let's get acquainted now with the RoboHelp 9 HTML workspace, which many people like to call the user interface. To do that, we'll first need to launch the program. So if you haven't already, go down to your Start button, click there, and select All Programs. From there, you'll find a folder titled Adobe RoboHelp 9, and when you click that, you'll see the RoboHelp 9 HTML program. Give that a click to launch the program. Now the very first thing you're going to see is something called the Starter. Notice the Starter tab in the top left-hand corner. And it's from here where you can select recent projects that you've been working on to get back to them quickly, or open older ones by clicking Open. You can create new projects, different types of projects, from the Create New column. And you can even import from the Import section. And here you can see a couple of defaults, Word documents and Microsoft HTML help projects, but you can select more as well. There's also a number of resources available to you here for working with RoboHelp, and they're easily selectable from the starter, which you can leave open, by the way. But really, to get a good look at the default workspace, we need to either open up a project or start a new one. So let's create a new blank project. By clicking Blank Project, you launch the New Project wizard, and you are prompted for the project title. That's right at the very top, and you can type over that text. So for the sake of simplicity, let's just type in My First Project. It also fills in the file name for the project, exactly the same, and you can change the location where you're going to save that by clicking the Browse button and selecting a folder where you want your first project to go. It does create a folder in that location called, in this case, My First Project. Click Finish, and it will start up your first ever new blank project. So from here you can see we have quite a busy looking workspace. So let's start right at the top with the title bar, where you do see RoboHelp HTML and the name of your project, and you'll also see the name of the first topic. In this case, because it's created from a blank template, it's called First Topic. Off to the right hand side on the title bar, you do have your minimize, restore, and close buttons for shutting down the program. Next comes the menu bar, and just like most software applications, you'll see menu headings that you can click to display related commands. In this case, clicking File displays file-related commands. Some of them have submenus indicated by the little black arrows, so you have additional selections through those. Click anywhere outside the menus to shut it down. And off to the right-hand side of the menu bar is our Workspace Selector. Now, if we click this now, being our very first project, you'll notice the word default with a check mark, and we are looking at the default workspace, but you can manipulate the workspace to suit your own needs. That requires saving and loading, and that's something we're going to talk about a little bit later on in this chapter. So for now, we'll just click outside that Workspace Selector. Next, we have a number of toolbars that are visible by default. And you'll see that the toolbars have a number of buttons, and they're kind of grouped together and related. So you'll have the project toolbar with project commands like saving and printing and checking spelling, for example. These are all shortcuts for commands you'd find in the menus. Then, looks like we have one for working with versions or version control. We have a number of formatting commands grouped together on the formatting toolbar. And there's also an object toolbar for inserting different kinds of objects. Now your toolbars can be moved around, so yours might not look exactly like mine. You can go to the left side, and when you see the four-sided arrow, click and drag them around. So if you wanted to switch the order, for example, you can click and drag them into the place where you want them. So feel free to manipulate those to suit your own needs. Also on the right hand side of each toolbar, you'll see these little selector buttons where you can access toolbar options, where you can actually customize each toolbar by adding and removing buttons. Now down below the toolbars, we get into this busy area where you see a number of panes. They're actually called pods. And pods, such as the project manager here, and you can see single source layouts down below, topic lists, etc. These are all designed to help you to create the project that you're working on and create the required outputs. We're going to spend an entire lesson on working with pods. That's coming up. But just so you know, these pods are docked by default, but you can also click and drag from the left-hand side of the title bar for each of these pods if you want to undock them and float them around, and that changes the look of your workspace, obviously. Next, we have this little area here, which we call our document pane. And you see First Topic as the tab. There's our starter, by the way, and we can go back to the starter and go back to our first topic quickly by clicking these. Inside the document pane, we have our design editor where you actually work on the content in your topic or project. And there's a couple of different ways to view that content. The design view is the default. So if we just move this out of the way, you can see what you're looking at is really the way you type it and the way you format it. But when you're generating projects for the web, let's say, it might be interesting to take a look at the HTML source code that creates that content. So you can change views by clicking HTML and going back to design. Now, each of the pods that we're looking at as well, notice that they have tabs across the bottom so you can quickly change between the different pods. And there is one thing on the far right-hand side that you may have noticed called the Resource Manager. And when you hover over that or click it, it actually expands it out into your screen. And as you start creating projects and adding resources, you'll be able to manage them here on the right-hand side. Just go back into your document and just click anywhere, and you'll notice it auto hides. That's a default option. Now when you start moving pods around and changing the look of your workspace, it could get a little bit disorganized, and one nice way to get back to the default is to go to that Workspace Selector, give it a click, select Default, and it'll set everything back up the way it was when we first came in to RoboHelp 9 HTML. So that's a quick overview of your default workspace or user interface. You should now be feeling a little more comfortable with the RoboHelp 9 work environment.